Hello, this is Poonam, and today we are gonna make a gourmet glaze. Gourmet glaze is basically a chocolate and use of nuts, chopped nuts. So and we're gonna use some oil, unflavored oil to it for exact quantity and the measurements. You will follow the recipe. I'm gonna show you the demonstration. Um, Gourmet glaze can be used or to any of your entremets, your cake or your travel cakes or your butter cakes, or you can even dip your cookies or something into this. Uh, the only thing you need to remember that when you are glazing any cake or your entremet, the glaze has to be around 30 degrees, and your cake or your entremets or your travel cakes or butter cakes has to be cold. Cold as in like straight from the chiller. Like it should be around 2 degrees or something temperature. Otherwise, it won't work. If you are trying to use a room temperature glaze and a room temperature cake or your entremet, it won't work because what happened that the chocolate has to if you pour a chocolate onto a cold surface, it will seize immediately. So that is the whole point of using a cold cake and around 29 to 30 degrees temperature of gourmet glaze onto it, so that it will seize the chocolate and your product should be covered nicely with the glaze. Um, we are using couverture chocolates. Do not use any kind of compound here. It won't work. Otherwise, if you wanted to use a compound, so this I have never tried it with the compound, and I don't recommend it using making the gourmet glaze using the compound chocolate. So delete the compound compound chocolate in your life. I'm using a 54% dark Caribou couverture. I have melted the chocolate. Then I have the roasted hazelnuts here, which I have roasted at around 10 to 15 minutes at 150, 155 degrees. And I have some amount of oil. Please follow the recipe for exact quantities. The oil has to be unflavored. It does not have any kind of flavor oil. If you prefer, then it's up to you, but I don't prefer using flavored oil, because we need to have the chocolate flavor and not the coconut or by using the coconut flavor oil we are going to have a coconut flavor in the gourmet glaze. If you want to you can use it, but I would highly recommend do not use any kind of flavored oil. So all the peanut and um, what kind of oil you have, the rice bran oil or a peanut oil or a olive oil and a coconut oil. No, completely no. So use a vegetable oil which is unflavored oil, or use a grapeseed oil which is recommended, which I am using right now. But you can also use a vegetable oil like I think sunflower or something. So just make sure that it does not have any kind of its own flavor. I am using a hazelnut, but you can use any kind of nuts. Just make sure that it has to be roasted and chopped in nice thin pieces, so that it can be it can be easily mixed with the mixture. I mean this chocolate, and also it should look nice on the product you are pouring on. So we don't want a very large pieces of the nuts or a very chura type of we don't need a fine paste kind of something. So let's get started. I have my chocolate that I've melted in a plastic bowl, and I've melted my chocolate in a microwave. So again, I'm using a Caribou 54%, and the chocolate has to be melted under 50 degrees. So because that is the temperature you need to follow for the dark chocolate. So it's 45 degrees right now. So just make sure that your chocolate should not be heat up above 50 degrees, otherwise it will start burning. And I have my oil here. So I'm gonna keep a towel under it so it won't move. And I need to drizzle the oil, and I have to keep mixing it. Just make sure that do not pour all the oil, otherwise you will maybe you will have to use a stick blender or something to emulsify it. I'm not using a stick blender here because not all of us having it. So by using a spatula or the spoon also you can make this. Just gradually add the oil and keep mixing it so it will emulsify. Remember, chocolate is a fat and we are also adding additional fat. So why we are adding additional fat? Because we want to increase the fluidity of the chocolate. If you don't use a additional oil to this chocolate, you will find a very, very thick layer of a chocolate onto your product. If you just remove the oil from the recipe. So it won't be a glaze. It's just a normal chocolate coating, which is which won't be as shiny as this, and it will be very thick because we are adding additional fat into this chocolate. It will increase the fluidity of this chocolate, and it won't be set as it if we won't use without the oil. So that is the whole purpose of doing it. Just take out all the oil from this. So as you can see, it's completely shiny, and can you see the texture of it? Like it's very, very fluid, and so that's what we want. So skipping a oil is not an option here. You can't use a melted butter or any kind of other fat. Of course, you can use a cocoa butter. But I'm using a vegetable oil, grapeseed oil, because not everybody wants to invest in the cocoa butter. So, and then add your roasted nuts. You can use, again, like I said, you can use any kind of nuts. So, and if you want to increase the quantity of the nuts, you can increase it. If you want to increase, what is given to the recipe, you can increase this, but make sure that we don't want too much of nuts and we don't want a very less nuts. So the recipe I gave you works best for me. So this is ready. So if you see the temperature right now, it is 40 degrees, and if you wanted to pour onto your cake right now, we need to wait for another 10 degrees to drop. So 31 or 32 degrees is very good temperature for your glaze to set on a chilled or very cold cake. So I'm gonna pour it onto this jug, and you can store this for a very, very long period of time. There's nothing gonna happen this. You can maybe use a piping bag, and you can pour into all of this into the piping bag, and you can chill it, or it can be rested at the room temperature also. If you want a very long shelf life, just throw this mixture into the chiller. Chiller, I mean a fridge, not the freezer. And you will have to again melt everything up to 30 degrees or 35 degrees, and then let the temperature come to 30 degrees around, and then use this to pour your frozen cakes or travel cakes or something. So you just have to cling wrap this, and you can store it at the room temperature for now. And once it cools down, you can use it to pour over your your cakes or entremet. And you can also keep it into the chiller for up to easily for 2-3 months easily, and then you can use it. So that's all. Thank you for